Well, very much so. Yet another demonstration, and this time just outside the 20th AGOA Forum. And most importantly, these are pro-Palestine South Africans, and a lot of them really have just been calling for self-determination of the Palestinians. And we know that the current situation in Gaza is quite very gloomy in light of the constant bombardment and the ground offensive that is intensifying. So someone who knows the region very well is Mr. Naeem. So thank you so much indeed, sir, for your time. So once again, another very important occasion where you're reminding the American delegation about the current situation that is very dire in the Middle East.
Yeah, I mean, the point of having this protest here is because the United States is funding this genocide of Israel. I mean, this genocide is costing Israel $250 million a day, and the United States wants to give them $14 billion in order to cover the cost of it for 2 months. So the protest really is against the United States for its funding of genocide and its refusal to support the call for a ceasefire. In the General Assembly last week, the vast majority of the countries of the world called for a ceasefire, and the United States, Israel and 12 others voted against it. And it's that support or that lack of support for a ceasefire that's actually promoting and ensuring that the genocide in Gaza takes place.
And we saw that the US Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, is currently in the Middle East. We saw him meeting with the Israeli Prime Minister and the President of Israel. But once again, from Prime Minister Netanyahu saying that as long as the hostages are still not freed, there won't be a ceasefire. So quite a very protracted situation.
It's protracted. I mean, I think struggles are protracted. In terms of the captives that are being held by the resistance in Gaza, they've made it clear that they're willing to release every single one of them, including the soldiers. If the Palestinians who are being held hostage by Israel in their prisons, you know, there's one Palestinian prisoner who's in jail for 42 years. And if we thought that Nelson Mandela's 27 was long, 42 years.
Sure.
So they're calling for Palestinian political prisoners to be released, and they will release all of the captives they've taken. Israel doesn't care, of course. By now, they've already killed about more than 50 of the captives held in Gaza through their bombardment. But you know, that pales in significance, of course, compared to the almost 10,000 civilian lives that have been lost in Gaza.
And just before I let you go, Naeem, what can countries like South Africa do, you know, the Middle Powers, through maybe UN Security Council or even the General Assembly itself? And we know that South Africa has been calling for cessation of hostilities and saying that the two-state solution is still a preferred option in this regard.
Well, I think the two-state solution idea is a joke now in reality. But South Africa certainly has a role in terms of, together with other Middle Powers, other states of the Global South in particular, to put more and more pressure on both Israel and the United States. I mean, the United States ensures that Israel's genocide can continue, and South Africa can play that kind of role with in league with other states. It is doing so. There have been some good statements coming out of the South African government. I think that needs to be strengthened, and certainly a review of the relations between South Africa and Israel. The fact, for example, that we send so many of our diamonds to Israel, the fact that we allow South Africans to go and fight in the Israeli Defense Force and murder Palestinian civilians, I think is a shame for us as South Africans and for the South African government. That should be a priority.